Hi, I'm Todd Mitchell from Cybersecurity for Biz, and today's topic is, are you doing enough to protect your customers' data? Companies must embrace their combined responsibilities using customer data in an ethical way and securing it properly. Proper data hygiene and proper security need to complement each other. Companies must demonstrate a strong commitment to both earn and keep a customer's trust. This is a huge topic because most of us, in small business especially, with just a few assets and a few employees, I'm talking 20 or less, maybe 100 or less, you know that your reputation is all you have. You know that your most valuable asset is your customer's information and your customer's trust. This is how you get repeat business. This is how you get word of mouth advertising. And that's how you get a text message. Personal information is valuable to your business, but it's also valuable to your customer. So how do you know if you're doing enough? Well, I'm going to walk you through some questions that you can answer for yourself, and you will be able to decide. Do you collect any personal information through a website? Yes or no? If you answer yes, then you need to ensure that you have a privacy statement that clearly communicates your use practices and how you include contact information and details and how you collect and use and store that information. That way your customer will know when they give you their email address or they give you their birthday or their name or address that you're going to do your best to keep it secure and not violate their privacy. If you don't have a privacy statement, then you should communicate clearly and often about what privacy means to your organization and the steps you're going to take to achieve that. I would suggest that if you don't have one, you make a privacy statement. The next question you need to ask is, do you collect personal information in person? Or do you do it over the phone? Or do you do it through emails? So if the answer is yes, you want to ensure the amount and type of data is appropriate and you have a purpose. Don't just ask somebody their personal information just for the heck of it. If you don't really need that information to conduct your business, there's no reason why you should be storing that data. Disclose how you're going to use this data to the consumer. Let them know, hey, yes, I need your email address, but it's so that I can add you to my junk mail list, or you can subscribe to my newsletters, or I want your birthday, but the only thing I'm going to do with it is put it in a file so that I can send you a birthday card every month on the month of your birthday to give you a discount for a free meal or something like that. But I'll never sell your birthday to a third party for any other use. You need to let people know this up front. Provide ways for individuals to limit their information. So in other words, give them an opt-out. If they decide they don't want to give you your birthday and they don't want to be part of your, discounts for birthday meals or whatever, because they don't feel confident sharing their birth date with you because they've already given you too much other personal information, they should be able to opt out of that and still be part of the program. This is particularly an issue on certain websites. I know when you set up your form on the Contact Me page on your website, it's very easily to just make everything required. And then all of a sudden they can't sign up without giving you the birthday. That doesn't really allow them the option of opting out. So be careful of what things you're requiring somebody to give you in order to sign up with your program or your process or to buy something or whatever it is that you're doing on your website with their information. The other thing is looking at financial transactions, receipts. Are you giving them copies of the receipts? Are you keeping copies of the receipts yourself? Do you keep a log of all your sales? Do you actually keep the credit card numbers on file? These are all things that you need to look at, and you need to be aware of what regulations there are that say what you have to do if you do some of those things, particularly if you keep credit card information. There is a whole laundry list of a dozen different forms you have to fill out and show that you are doing your due diligence to have a protected network and encrypted transfer methods and everything else to transmit and store credit card information. So the easiest way for that is to have a third party like your bank or Square, something PayPal, let them handle it all for you, and you do not collect credit card data yourself. That means you can't touch the card, you can't write the numbers down, you can't enter them into a website for somebody. If they call in, you can't do any of that. They have to do it all themselves. It's easy. You can just make sure you send them the link to a page where they can enter the information themselves. Um, and and that's how you keep their trust, because you might be a slight inconvenience, and you can even pitch it to them that way. Say, well, I'm sorry, I can't enter your card information for you over the phone, but for your safety, I don't collect any of that information. Only the bank does. So I can send you a link and you can enter it yourself. And when they think about it, they'll be happy that you're doing it that way. The next question is, do you collect personal information from third parties or from apps? Have you confirmed that each source got permission to share that data? So if you collect personal information from third parties, in addition to your privacy practices, you're now responsible for how your partners use and collect that information. In other words, if you have it set up through your website to where they're the ones collecting all the information, now you have to worry about what are they doing with that information. Because if I give you I'm a consumer and you're a business, and I give you my email address, assuming that you told me all you're going to do with it is put me on your newsletter, and the person that collects it through whatever, just say MailChimp or something, and they sell that to some master list, and now all of a sudden the next day my email inbox gets blown up with junk mail from everybody all across the country of a dozen different companies. I'm going to think that that was you lying to me basically and telling me you weren't going to do anything with my data, and then you turned around and sold it to somebody. So you need to be careful of what these third parties are doing with your customers' information that you are going to be held responsible for, maybe not legally, but definitely in the eyes of the public, you're held accountable for that. Same thing with the financial data. What is your bank doing with this data? What is, we all have heard in the news, Facebook and Google have been everywhere in the news about data being used by third parties for other reasons that people didn't know about. Several years ago, for an example, the Facebook issue was they were letting a third party company collect political information from people and use it for campaign ads and things like that. This is all a big issue, and your company may not make national headlines and have Senate investigation hearings about it or anything like that, but if you're in a small town and you get a bad rap and everybody in town knows about it, your business is going to go down. You're going to suffer because of it. So you need to be aware. So now that you've thought about how you collect information, you should consider how that information is stored and kept secure. My recommendation is you evaluate and employ controls to prevent unauthorized access of your data, which means you keep it in secured files that have a need to know access. If a certain person or employee doesn't need to know that information, they shouldn't be able to get to it. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that it is not readable if it ends up in somebody else's hands. So that could mean encrypted files. It could mean encrypting the whole database. That may mean that you don't store that information on a local computer, but you put it in the cloud. It may mean the opposite. It may mean you don't think you should put this in the cloud and you want to keep it on a local computer where you're the only one that can get access to it. And then you need to monitor and track the way you use and manage consumer data. Make sure that it's complying with the privacy policies that you did tell the public about before you started collecting their data. You have to occasionally go through and take a look at your system and make sure that you haven't changed your process in such a way that you're now violating what you told everybody you were going to do. And data being shared is a huge issue. Now, some of these, what I call big tech companies, use things that they own so much that they can share data between each other because it's all the same company, technically. A prime example is Google. Google owns Gmail. They own the search engines. They own, several other things, the maps. They pay to have things on your phone that has access to microphones and cameras and stuff like that. And they're able to collect a mountain of data about people. And they share it across all their own platforms. A big example of this just happened to me yesterday. I'm on my computer preparing to make a couple of videos, and I literally had a document opened and highlighted a certain sentence and hit copy, moved it over to a different place and hit paste. About 15 minutes later, I got a text from my wife, the standard, 5 o'clock, hey, I'm on my way home, what do you want for dinner? And I go to reply, and you know how your text message auto-populates some replies for you and with the predictive text? And I look down and it literally, word for word, with acronyms, because this is military stuff, with military acronyms and everything else, word for word said what I had copied. So Google took something out of Google Chrome in Docs and translated that to a completely different device, my cell phone, and put it in predictive text for a text message. Like, I don't even know. I mean, technically I know how because I'm an IT guy, but in the privacy part of that, it just like, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I mean, just because I'm at work cutting and pasting stuff does not mean I want my personal cell phone to have that sentence pop up like I'm going to text it to somebody. That's just like a huge breach of privacy, in my opinion. That means that when I cut and paste documents in Google Docs, they are remembering what I copied and pasted, and they're using that for a whole bunch of different things that I didn't want them to do with it. Because all I wanted them to do was remember it for a couple minutes so I could paste it on another document. Anyway, so the moral of the story is you need to do your due diligence to protect your customers' data. And I suggest you stop and take a look at what you're doing. Answer those 3 questions. I'll go over them again real quick. Do you collect personal information through a website? Do you collect personal information in person? And do you collect personal information using a third party or an app? And depending on your answers to those 3 questions, you need to take a look at how you store and how you transmit and how you keep safe all that data. Thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions, shoot me an email or give me a call. As always, stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.